So we just had the lumber delivery. That was pretty quick. This driveway was poured like a month ago, so make sure if you ever want to have lumber delivery that your driveway concrete is cured for, so at least depending on the weather. This is winter here, so it's not as warm as the summer, but I waited like it's been about a month. So make sure your concrete's good and hard before they start driving on here with that spider and all that lumber. You're probably looking at 8,000-10,000 pounds or more when that thing's loaded with a pile of lumber. So anyway, something to think about. You don't want to drive on a fresh driveway. Anyway, yeah. So it's good when you have a delivery guy that knows what they're doing. This guy really knows what he's doing. He didn't used to be a framer, but he knows what they need, when they need it. So when you have the lumber delivered, you have them. There they go. 84 lumber. That's they usually end up winning the bids. They pretty much only sell lumber. They have almost no store. It's just basically a big lumber yard, so they're usually the best deal on framing packages. I always get a couple of bids. Keeps everybody honest. And sometimes other places come in cheaper. Lumber's a commodity, so sometimes maybe they have one type of lumber. It could be OSB or wall studs that are way cheaper than the other companies, because maybe they got a better deal, and it can bring the whole bid down. So you can end up saving quite a bit of money. So anyway, yeah. So if you have a guy that knows what he's doing, he knows how to place the lumber, because he knows what the framers need, what they use first, what they use last. See here, these are all the plate studs, 16 footers, the green plate, which is the one that goes on the bottom against the concrete, wall plates, and then he knows they need those first. Now this ceiling joists, 2x12 ceiling joists and stuff, they don't get used right away, but that's just the way this kind of rolled out of the truck. I mean, I could have had to move it around, but it's not really in the way. Best case scenario, it depends how it's loaded on the truck also. So I mean, they have to kind of take it off, and the way it's loaded on, but at the same time they can still move it around. But it's not that big of a deal. And then this is wall studs here that are wrapped and covered. More wall studs. OSB will be used last after the walls are up, so it's out here. Over here we got more 16 footers. These are all 16 footers here. He was dumping it off the spider, and the bands broke. Or once one band broke, that's it. They probably should have put more bands on it, but they didn't. So then it ended up like this. But he took this pile and shoved these over, because they had scattered up halfway across the driveway. It was still like 3 or 4 feet in the air when it broke, when the band broke, and they just dumped off, and they were rolling everywhere. Anyway, yeah. So these are there's some ceiling joists here. 2x12 is ceiling joists. 2x6 is there's some for ceiling joists and some for other stuff in the walls, like headers and stuff. Anyway, so they're kind of, like I said, he arranged it so they don't have to walk over stuff to get to other stuff, or the studs are facing this way. They can just pull them off the pile, or when they come to use these, the long stock, the long stock is arranged so that they can just pull it off the pile, walk into the house. And then the last thing will get used, these are all ceiling joists here, because I've got some 24-foot spans, so I've got some really long 2x12s. Those will get used last after the walls are up. And so these are down here, and then they'll be, by the time they get down to these, the second drop will come with the remaining roof framing materials, including the OSB sheeting, 2x6 roof rafters, and then all the Hardy products, the Hardy siding and Hardy trim, and then that'll get delivered in here. So anyway, so yeah, so if you have this guy already knew that, but a lot of guys don't. Some guys, I've had guys pile lumber up on top piles. You never pile a pile on top of another pile. You don't do that unless there's no other place to put it. But most job sites, there's enough room to scatter lumber. So you don't want to do that. But I've had guys pile up. They put the Hardy board on top. They pile it on top of the studs, and then you have to unload all the Hardy board to get to the studs to use the studs. And it's just some guys just don't know how to deliver. They don't know how the framers need it, so they just put it anywhere. So my point is, I always like to meet the delivery out here, in case you get a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. This guy was really good. I didn't have to say a word. I mean, I kind of tested him in the beginning, and I was like, okay, he knows what he's doing, and it's almost as if he had been a framer, you know. But he hadn't. I asked him, I said, "You used to be a framer?" He goes, "No, but I know how they need the lumber." Anyway, yeah, so that's a pointer for you, especially if you're going to frame yourself. You don't want to waste energy carrying lumber around. I mean, it's the biggest waste of energy. I mean, 1 minute with that spider machine is 1 hour by hand. But 1 hour with two guys by hand, really, because that thing picks this whole thing picks this up like nothing. How long would it take you to have to move all these, for example, if they were in the wrong place, or this, you know, for example? So my point is that let the machine do the work. Whether you're hiring it done or not, because you don't want to burn up the framers either. And there's nothing worse than getting on a job site when you're a framer. I know I used to be one, and there's a crappy delivery. You know, it brings your mood down. Now you're going to be wasting energy and time and so on and so forth. So anyway, yeah. So that's kind of a little about lumber delivery. One little aspect of the job. You know, especially if you're new, if you don't know what you're doing, maybe you're doing your own house or whatever. It's from a builder's point of view. All right, time to get to work.